health activity, known as VENT. Vent. A vertical of Richie Knows. Community-driven mental health solutions. By gamers, for gamers. Destigmatizing mental health. It's your brain. Delete the dread from your head. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Mental health affects us all. We are Vent. No judgment. No judgment. We got ya.
My name is Jonathan Bautista.
My name is Kitty. I go by Kitty Kaboom online.
I'm Stefan Lopezanski.
Oliver Boone.
Micah Greenleaf.
Ryder Davis.
My name is Kim.
Elijah.
Amanda.
Devonta. Derek.
Cheyenne.
Alan.
Andrew Forbes.
My name is Sherry Nan.
And I have struggled with mental health.
My earliest notions of paranoia came up in high school.
My anger, my frustration.
It finally starts chipping away at you to one point where you do get kind of down. I suffer with anxiety currently, loneliness,
Isolation.
delusions.
Bullying.
Sadness. Fear.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I've been struggling with depression my whole life.
Still didn't know how to handle it.
When you get under that, it's really hard to get out of it.
Depression is like a shadow, and some days there might be overcast, or you might not be able to see your shadow, and you think that your depression's gone, and then when the sun comes back out, your shadow's right there, and it always will be with you.
I feel like gaming is a good way to get yourself out of that.
Just talking to them and finding peers that had similar mentality and similar interests.
It's very warm and very welcoming.
That was a huge help.
I'm so happy like I have a community.
You know, I think that's like the best form of therapy, just talking to
You talk it all out, and it really helps. It really does.
Introducing Vent, a safe, supportive space from Richie Knows. We connect gamers.
Wow, started the show on mute on the very last show. Hey everybody, welcome to Vent. You already know this, but this is your safe, judgment-free, affirmative space that's dedicated to your mental health. And tonight, it is our final episode of Vent Overheards. I'm happy to say that tonight we're doing things a little differently. We've had some really incredible guests, but we decided tonight to do things, some might say a little inside out. We are taking some gamers from our team, the guys who have been working on the inside, and we are letting them out in front of all of you. We are letting loose. We are opening up about our own journey throughout this Vent Alpha test. It may have only been running for 4 weeks, but the work started long ago. So we want to share our favorite moments with you. We want to talk about what we've learned from you guys, what we've learned from this experience, and some of the moments that we'll never forget. So as always, we want you to send in your questions via Reddit, Twitch, or Discord. And again, now is your chance to really ask about anything. You can share your own experiences with the Vent content. You can ask us questions about behind the scenes. You can ask us questions about our own mental health journey. As always, this is a judgment-free space where we're just here to talk and open up. So definitely feel free to get involved throughout the show. Without further ado, let us welcome our guests. We've got Anthony, James, and Jimmy here today.
Hey,
Thank you
Sophie.
guys for being on.
Howdy. Good to be here.
Hey, how's it going, Sophie?
I'm doing good. Now, I think all of you guys have been on different shows. You're kind of like some of our hardcore resident gamers that we turn to when we want insight from someone really deep inside of the gaming community. Why don't y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves a little bit? I guess more specifically, give us your game so people watching know where you're coming from within the gaming community.
Start us off, Tony.
I can start off.
Oh, James, you too.
Sorry, I just didn't hear anyone speaking up. So
It's all good.
yeah, no, you're good. So I started with gaming at a pretty young age. And the big thing that really started me and kind of kicked me off was tabletop role playing. And I started in high school, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's amazing. It's so much fun. And I have been playing now and running my own streams for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years now. And that's been such an amazing journey in and of itself. And I learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot about myself. And it's been a very interesting experience.
That's awesome. I think you and Anthony and y'all talking about tabletop gaming have like really piqued my interest in a cool way, coming from someone too who like wouldn't even consider themselves the biggest gamer in general. Anthony, do you have a similar background or a little different from James?
Yeah, similar. We intersected. So I'm Tony. That's what Baron on the Twitters and all the social medias. TTRPG actor, streamer, content creator, becoming a writer, going to school for that stuff. Just trying to, put as many irons in the fire as possible to try and share my stories with the world. And about 3 years ago, James and I was online looking for a D&D game. We're TTRPG streamers and actors, and James had a game going. We hooked up, we started playing a game, and then we just kind of were like, dude, let's stream this, and the rest is history. We ended up started that whole thing, turned into a company. About 6 months ago, I bought into the company officially as an owner, and I'm the creative director for Valor Studios, and we're just rocking and rolling. Like it's just it's a whole thing now.
That's awesome, dude. I don't even know if I knew all of that. Jimmy, what about you?
We're quite dynamic, We're pretty interesting.
Awesome. Very similar to the two gentlemen. I've been a gamer since I was a child back in the late 70s. Started with my Atari DOS PC, went from Nintendo and just went through all the generations of different gaming. And then I found my love in fighting games, and everything just started with Street Fighter 2. And that's where my arcade life started. And then that progressed to the home console. And then from there, he just became a gamer at heart, really drove my, career into software engineering. And then about 12 years ago, I said, let's start a company that does events for the community, right? Called Level Up. And since that day, I've been focusing on creating events for the community, doing consulting for other companies about their games, their gaming tours, and events, and really kind of just try to do everything we can for people in the game community, right? So like with Richie brought us on because he got a contact or referral to us about doing tournaments, and then guess what? I can do production as well. And just like James and Anthony, we're kind of like a end all be all type of solution. You need something, we can handle it all from A to Z. And it's just the love and passion for gaming that drove all of us to do this. And we know that there's others out there who want to be part of the journey with us. So we're kind of the voice for the community in a sense, and giving them opportunities to not only be players, but also talent, commentators on events, those who want to help run events as well. So we help all cultivate that. So whether with James Anthony in their TTRPG community or with us in the fighting game community, the end goal is just to help cultivate and grow everybody at the same time. So that's why we do it. We're not out there for clout. We're not out there to be, in the spotlight all the time. We're ninjas in the background doing stuff, and ninjas is where most work gets done, right? That's what we are. Yeah.
And for everyone watching, Jimmy is kind of our lead producer for all of the Vent content. And tonight he is both acting as a guest and producing the show. So major props to Jimmy. Jimmy, you said something about
Jimmy.
You said something about kind of like this being all about just like your passion for gaming and the gaming community. And I think that's something that's like quite clear, particularly with the three of you guys who are so ingrained in that. But it's interesting that you've also found yourself involved specifically in Vent as part of Richie Knows. You could have been involved in some of the other areas, and you chose or landed here. So I'm curious to hear, was it something that you were drawn to because it was about mental health? Was that like a surprising benefit? James, let's throw it to you first.
Honestly, the big reason that and I'm happy to be a part of this, and I think that the main reason that I wanted to help with this is to see what, one, I could learn about mental health, and two, also to just help something that needs to be known, that needs to, be pushed forward and moved into society, and to make, seeking help when you feel like you need it, but you're too afraid, becoming more of a normal thing. Because there are, I can't even imagine how many people are sitting in the dark. Actually, Nafisa in the video that we played, her whole point of, like, you go to sleep and you feel like the darkness is gone, and then you wake up and your shadow's still there. Like, that really hit me in a huge place, because everyone has their ups and downs, and being able to be a part of something that can help hopefully bring more ups to people rather than bring more downs to people is just, it needs to happen, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
What about you guys, Anthony and Jimmy?
Go ahead, Tony. You first.
I keep calling you Anthony because it's on the screen. I never call you Anthony. I always call you Tony, and I'm thrown because it's so formal. It's the tie
it's
too.
okay.
Gotta be it.
Yeah. You get Ty Tony today, so this is Anthony. I dress up as Anthony, but I'm actually Tony. But like, it was a crazy story. Not to go too far into the woods with it, with Rich. We talked on the phone, and I was like, is this guy for real? Because he was like speaking my language, like from the jump. He was like, we want to help destigmatize mental health. We want to reach out to gamers and help destigmatize gamers and give them a voice and give them a place to feel safe and have this platform. And I was like, man, please, like, what can I do? I'll hand shirts out. I don't care. Just what can I do to be involved? Because I have a past of my own mental health journey that I've had to go on, from my childhood to the military to being a single father of a son with special needs. And then I also have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends who struggle. And I think about them in my mind. And if this is something that I can do that might branch out to them and other people in their position, even just being adjacent to it, let alone being involved in Vent, it's a good thing to do for the world. And you're putting something right. We're doing something right this time, and when there's something right going on in the world, you have to jump on it and push it and support it so that it's allowed its breath, because somebody else out there is going to grab onto it and it's going to help them. And that's why I'm here. Like, I've met these, like you, Sophie, and Jimmy. You guys are this amazing group of people I've been able to meet. There's just been icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, and for me, initially it was just tournaments. That was my initial contact with Rich, and then he told me, "Oh, I want to do. There's another another pillar to Richie Knows, and that was mental health." And that hit with me right away, because about 3 years ago, I had about a years of just depression. Right, I was just burnt out from doing a lot of work, and I never hit a low where I said, you know what, I'm not motivated to do anything. I literally just stopped caring about every single thing except my wife. Right. So, and then I overcame that a year later, but I still suffer from spouts of it. And when I heard that, oh, this is a good thing, to really talk about in the gaming space, because you hear a lot about mental health in other areas, not in gaming, right? But then gaming is like the perfect place to explore mental health, and not just from like the work perspective, but like just from the gaming side as a player as well. So that really got me really interested in what Richard was doing in his vision. And as Sophie, you and I had our hour and a half long talk that one time in Burbank, and I opened up to all the stuff I was suffering from, and you're one of the first people I ever told all that to, besides my wife. So you can see that there's a lot going on. There's so much that we need to explore when it comes to this. And I think Rich says it best, right? It's okay not to be okay. And I think a lot of people are now using that same phrase in the news. And I think having a platform like this is super important, because we don't want to have it be such like a cliche thing to say. We don't really want to talk about and dive deep into the issues. And one of the things I was afraid of back in the day was obviously if you say it, you may look weak, right? But then nowadays, when everyone says something about too much, you don't want it to become like the norm, and everyone's like, oh, it's just another issue we gotta like worry about, but we don't really have to worry about. So having Vent and having multiple people on the show having different perspectives and point of views and opinions really adds substance to what everyone is saying. That way we don't take it for granted, right? And that's one thing I'm afraid of, is people take it for granted after a while, you know, and say, oh, mental health, yeah, they're struggling, cool, whatever, move on, right? I don't want that to happen. So the more we can talk about it, the more we can discuss it, talk about both ends of it, right? The good and the bad, and come up with solutions on how people have dealt with it, and then types of mental health that are even harder to even overcome. So, you know, that's what really got me into it. It's like, can we be part of something like that revolution in discussion of mental health, and not just let it become a cliche thing? So, yeah.
Yeah. Meeting you, Jimmy, was probably like, it was the first shoot that I was a part of for Vent. We had done interviews all day with gamers, and Rich was like, we got one last guy, Jimmy. He's the one who brought all of our gamers in. You were running tournaments, and my mind was like, oh, this is going to be more of the like professional business side of things. You know, we're going to talk more polished. And we sat down, and like you said, we talked for an hour and a half, and like you cried, I cried. It was just like a really cool, I mean, it's almost what we're talking about with Overheards here. It was me and you talking.
Yep.
Rich was there too. And I kind of forgot why we were even there. I was listening to you open up about your depression and stress and pressure. And while my life is totally different, you know, I don't have a family yet. I don't own a business, but the feelings that you were describing were feelings that made me choke up because I had felt them too. And that to me was like a light bulb moment of like, wow, this is really important. I want to walk this journey with Vent. Like, I want to walk this journey with Jimmy. Like, you know, just as much as I want myself to like feel like I'm making steps on this forever journey of mental health, like it's cool to meet people who are doing the same thing. And like, now you've got your support system. And I guess too, like, that's what the gaming community is, which is a revelation for me. I'm someone who I'm probably the least, certainly out of everyone on this screen, the least game out of all of us. But you guys have, even in hearing you guys talk, have really convinced me in a lot of ways how positive not only the gaming community can be for this, but also gaming in general. We've actually got a question from someone else on our team. They want to know games that you guys play to relax and unwind. Like, what would be your go-to game? And this is a question from someone else, but it's a question that I'm curious about too. Because despite having my interest piqued by you guys, much like first steps on mental health journey, you always put it off. I've like yet to say, oh, maybe gaming will be a solution when I'm really stressed out. So give me some good ones.
Go ahead, gents. You first.
Yeah, I'll go first. Then, so video game wise, when I need to unwind, usually it's a little bit of Overwatch. That has a cathartic, might not be the best word to use, feel for me a little bit. You get to pound somebody with a big ass hammer. No, just kidding. But yeah, it's fun. It's a little competitive. It's relaxing. And then World of Warcraft, I can jump into WoW. You know, I take care of my son. I get the dinner done. We get the homework done. Dad gets his homework done. You know, I got an hour or two before his son and I sit down to watch some Star Trek before it's bedtime. And I'll sit down and burn out some WoW, just grinding through quests mindlessly. It's like, I don't know, it's like scribbling for artists. You know, it's just something that I'm sitting there doing. I'm doing a thing, but I'm not really into it. And it just relaxes me, and it's quiet, and you got the nice peaceful music going on, and it just kind of puts you in a nice Zen place. And then I get up and I can go hang out with my kid for a couple hours watching some TV. Now, tabletop RPG wise, that gets a little different because now it's my business. And so you think, man, I got Sunday coming up. I got to get my show on. I got to get ready to rock. You got to get in character. But even though it's business, and James is my GM, my brother, my partner, my business partner, even though we're sitting down to do this TTRPG in a business sense, I'm still chilled. I'm still relaxed. I'm still with my people in the audience, with my gaming buddies, and we're just burning through that for a few hours. And that relaxes me. And that's part of my bit. That's my side hustle, you know? And so that's what I do.
Well, for me, it's definitely not Dark Souls, which is a very hardcore, crazy game where you lose a lot. I honestly like tactical games, so like Final Fantasy Tactics, or there's a new one called The Last Spell that I've been playing a lot, and I really like to challenge myself in my downtime to figure out different strategies and like how I can do things different ways to come out in a more optimal position the next time I go through. And I don't know why, but for some reason, like that is super chill for me. And then obviously also, I love role playing. I love being able to showcase a world, to bring and blossom this thing to life and have people like run around it and explode buildings and like get into trouble and be the curator of their joy. It's like, you know, when Tony's playing on our Sunday shows and him or someone else like starts laughing or has a, you know, a grin on their face, it's very rewarding and it's fun, you know, it's a freaking blast. So that's another thing for me that like just really lets me unwind and get to be someone else for a little while.
Yeah, and for me, you know, growing up, I was always a super competitive type of person where get the high score, beat the other person, you know, beat them in any way. But as I got older, you know, that became more of a stress because when it comes to competition, that's where you start bringing on additional pressures on yourself. So for me, I retired from competing like back in 2000 in the fighting game world, and like, nope, I'm just gonna do events now. For me, I find more joy in revisiting those games in the past where I can play and pick up as second nature. It was like riding a bike. You know you can dominate that level no problem without even thinking, right? So I find joy in revisiting my roots and saying, oh man, I can't believe I grew up on this. It was so hard back in the day, but now it's like so easy, or it's easier, I should say, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you guys know exactly how that feels, right? Because as a kid, you're like, oh man, you should try and solve this problem, but now you look back and you're like, oh, that wasn't so hard. I see what the developers were doing. But I also find joy in helping my wife beat her puzzle games when she's playing on her mobile phone. Like she'll sit there like, I can't beat this level. Can you help me solve it? No problem. So similar to James is like, figure out how to beat the stage, right? You find joy in helping others to beat their game. So I find joy in that.
Yeah.
And then I still occasionally jump into the old school fighting games, play that and have fun, revisit the roots of the arcades. And then the final game I tend to go to is Tetris. You cannot beat a good old 20-minute session of just Tetris and trying to beat the high score.
Yes.
And it's like you can't really get stressed about it, right? Because all you're doing is just clearing lines, trying to get the high score, and then
blocks.
try to best your previous score, and that's all it is. So I find joy in the more simpler games nowadays, whereas the hardcore games like World of Warcraft, I used to play WoW too, but the grinds got so heavy, and like, oh man, I hit a roof here. It's so boring now. I gotta get I gotta do how many raids now to get one piece of armor? Like, forget that. Too much time dedication, you know. So quick,
come quest with me, man. Come quest with me. We'll just go pick some flowers.
I don't want to install it anymore. No.
I like the spectrum games that you guys just gave. Stefan brought up in his first journey you kind of need to figure out what works for you, and you guys all have different perspectives of what's calming and what's gonna be fun and good for a stressful day. That's fun. I like Tetris as an option, as a starting point.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
You can't go wrong. Or Minesweeper.
And if you start, Sophie, we're right here. We can come play too. You know,
I'm certainly going to come to you guys first, for sure. I want to ask y'all, some questions about some of the content that we've seen, and how it's impacted you, what you felt about it. And feel free to just kind of like hop in. We don't have to go one at a time. Do y'all feel like there was a moment or a particular episode that hit you personally? I feel like I have one in mind.
I think we all probably have the same one in mind.
I think for me, I'll jump in. I'll
go
jump
ahead,
out
Jimmy. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it was when we talked to the couple, Corey and Glenn, right? Corey Glenn and his wife, and Patrice, to find out that it became a family affair, right? That was awesome to hear that they can game as a family, right? Because growing up as family, we're like, stop playing games. You're gonna make you blind, right? Like hearing all that noise. But just to see that, really hit me. And then just the fact that he played, games that I played too in the past, and just to see how that helped them create that family dynamic was awesome. And to see the support that they both gave each other is very akin to the support my wife gives me for my company where we do the gaming events. So that hit really hard. And the second episode was when we had the two gamers. I can't remember his name, but it was the last episode we did where they said, yeah, we met in an arcade playing Tekken. Like, oh, that's what I did too, right? The arcades. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And that hit me straight to the heart. That's my roots. So those ones that stick out. And just to see their friendship, that support of like 12 years, right? Is what we all strive for.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
They loved each other. Like that was friendship.
Bromance,
you know what I
right
mean?
there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was beautiful, man. Lovely.
Yeah, and that's what we strive for nowadays, right? The long-term friendship, because nowadays everything's so fast. It's hard to have a long-term friend like that. And I hope that through Vent, we can all be friends for just as long, right?
Hell yes, brother.
100%.
Yeah.
The episode.
So you stole one of mine. Oh, go ahead, Sophie.
No, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So you stole my first one, which was the couple, because I mean that I'm a single guy. That gave me hope that my player 2 is out there somewhere, and I can have this wonderful experience.
She is there, man. She's there.
Yeah, it's out there. I'll meet you someday. I'll find your level. But but I really enjoyed getting Ryder's perspective when he was talking about what he's been on his personal journey.
Yes.
I really liked him a lot. Like Ryder I forgot what episode it was. Sorry. But man, listen to him talk about from his perspective and his words and his conceptualizations of things, what he's been doing with his father and what he's done himself. As a dad myself, I really connected with that because I can see things that my son has said through what he has said. And I kind of get that fatherly connection, and I loved it. I thought that was a really great. That was a really interesting story to hear about, like him going out and talking to people at high schools and him trying to work through his own internal struggles and through his therapy and everything. That was really inspirational for me. That touched me a lot as a father and as a viewer.
I think the best part about that particular show was they weren't afraid of showing the bickering they experienced and had in the past, right? They talked about that too, which is awesome because a lot of people don't want to talk about that, and so that was a good part of that show too.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Reminded me a lot about being a teenager and how like me and my dad had that kind of like relationship where it was a little bit contested here and there. I saw a lot of myself as a teen in Ryder in that specific aspect, which was kind of cool. I liked it. It was a good episode.
The guest that I felt like resonated with me the most, or that I should say like was just the most memorable, like trying to think back and reflect on it, was probably Nafisa. And I think the reason why was because, one, I really appreciated her perspective on like sitting with and acknowledging any sort of pain or like mental and emotional thing you're going through, but only to the point where it's beneficial to you. Like it's important to acknowledge it's okay to not feel okay, but at some point, you've got to turn a corner and maybe you need help to do it. Maybe you just need to admit that you need to turn the corner. But I felt like that was like just a really beautiful balance of like sensitivity and grace, but also like some sternness about your mental health. Like, you know, this isn't something that you can just wallow in. Sometimes you gotta like take action. So I thought that was really great. And I also think I just appreciated there was a sense of almost ambiguity in the way she was talking. You know, she was opening up to us, but I don't know if she explicitly ever shared specific things that triggered these like various emotions she felt. And it reminded myself of me, you know, someone who like will open up and level, but like still kind of not quite share everything. And you know, I think that's okay. But I think that's why I was like, man, I emailed her after the show and was like, I really appreciated your perspective on things. And it was just like a funny one to resonate with me, because it was like, if any out of anyone, I feel like I got the least of her story. And yet that was the thing that resonated with me.
Yeah, she was great on the show. You know, I also emailed her afterwards and say, thank you for the kind words at the end of during our roundtable. And she just had this energy. Even you can read it, you can feel it through the emails. Like, oh, it was great, you know. And yeah, she definitely was fun. It was good guest.
What about you, James?
Honestly, the episode with Stefan and the expert for that episode was really cool. A lot of the insights from the expert in that episode specifically really clicked with me, like how when you're going through something, you have this bell curve and you're somewhere on that bell curve, and eventually that bell curve drops off and you'll get back to where you were before this thing was troubling you. You just have to find what can propel you forward to drop off that bell curve and start to return back to your normal. And that really clicked with me. And I love that we can get those insights from experts and from people who are trained in this kind of thing. I think that that's really cool.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Speaking of experts, I love the episode that I was on with Stefan. I think that's the one you're talking about, James, where we actually help the expert understand gamers. I mean, how cool is that, right? How often do you get a chance to like break through, break that wall down and say, hey guys, this is us. And he's like, now it's okay to call you guys gamers? Cool. Now I understand your thinking. Like, that was perfect. I mean, that's, wow. That was mind blowing in that episode. That
It's essential. It was essential because that's what we're trying to do. We're breaking the stigma with mental health, and we're also breaking the stigma that, you know, gamers are fitting into this. I thought we were done with it. I thought the stigma was gone, but you know, apparently we still have a mission to work out that the stigma is still there, that no, you know, we aren't what people are just putting us into a closet and saying this is who they are.
Yep.
So yes, Jimmy, that was big time, because you saw it in his face too. He was like,
yeah, he's like,
wow. Like, it was almost like, can I be a part of this? Like, you guys are awesome. Like, this is completely different than I thought it was. And they're like, yeah, dude, pick up a paddle, come sit down, let's do this.
He's like, I'm getting cred now with the gamers. Let's go.
It was cool. It was really cool. That was a great moment, man. I loved it.
That's awesome. What is something that y'all are looking forward to, excited about, or just like personally, like, you know, internally want to see in the next version of Vent? You know, when we roll out 2.0, I know there's technical terms for that, but like, what is something that based on this experience you guys want to see more of, or like a totally new wacky idea? I'm just curious. I'm sure Rich is curious too.
More unicorns. No, just
kidding. More unicorns. Rainbow poop, right?
More graphics. No. Andrew wants more graphics.
More graphics.
More graphics. Yeah.
More graphics. Let's make it an interview. For me, I like to do kind of maybe one version of the show where we are doing on the road live, like call it like a IRL type of exploration, where, you know, we visit or we tour different cities, right? And it's like maybe 2 or 3 of us walking to like a random arcade or random LAN center or gaming center and just shoot the shit, right? And just talk. Hey guys, how are you doing today? And kind of like how Rich was doing with his shoots, but more on a live streaming sense, right? We can all just wear like internet backpack or just do it on our phones and stream to Twitch, like live and just
That would be
talking
so
like,
cool.
candidly. It's like just do it, and that can just be like one version of the show. Catch people off guard and see the progression of what the hell to okay, let's have a conversation and just kind of just mount the camera there and just do it and see how it goes. That's kind of what I want to see, where we can be like this, not the spokespeople, but like the pillars of the events. They could go out there and build that pedestal that people can sit on and just chat,
share their stories.
Yeah.
Share our stories. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm really excited to see more involvement, even more. Let me put the word even more involvement from the gaming community, the average gaming community, where whether we have more tournaments or we're having a TTRPG game or we're running an online charity stream or we're running an online like a full weekend of just tabletop role playing where we bring in as many people as we can, first timers, veterans, whatever it is, just to get people rolling and get the exposure out there and the word out there. That's what I'm really excited to see and it ties along with what you just said, Jimmy, it's coming in contact with the people on the street, with the people that we are trying to identify with, we are trying to open ourselves up to and love and support. And we're going to come to you. Not only are we going to offer you this, but we're going to come to you and we're going to give you avenues to come to us and share and joy and what we do and why we're doing this and spread that philosophy, spread that feeling. But yeah, I'd love to see like some TTRPG, vent, just doing stuff, I think that would be really kick ass. That's
like themed shows, right? Like this week is going to be TTRPG community and next week is like the fighting game community. Yeah, that'd be freaking amazing. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, and we just reach out to people from the community that we know, some influencers, and bring them in and just introduce them to who we are and what Vent is, and just let it and have them jump aboard, join the team, join the campaign, and let's do this. Let's help us spread this word.
For me, it's all about the potential. There's so many avenues that can be explored with something like this that can help so many different people, and I really think that this can be a power of good in the world, to help people, to give them a safe space to be and to grow and to prosper and to get friends, like, especially if you're going through a hard time. If you don't have friends there to support you and help you, it's twofold the issue that you go through. So it's just, there's a lot that this can turn into, and it's very exciting. I think one of the big things for me that I'm excited about is gaming groups. Kind of like what both of you are talking about, but, being able to punch into an app and see that there's gaming groups nearby. I can click on a button and connect with a gaming group and be like, hey, what's up, everybody? Like, I'm so-and-so, like, looks like you guys are playing some Call of Duty. Like, you mind if I jump into your lobby and we can hang out? This is who I am. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Hell
and
yeah.
like, and then who knows what that turns into? What if that person ends up, is going through a hard time or something, and this group of gamers like lets them in and start talking with them. They blossom in this friendship, and they go and have a beer or have a coffee or whatever, and actually like engage with one another, and then boom, friendship made because of something that has happened from what this team is doing. Like, that's awesome. That's super, super exciting.
Hell yeah, James.
Great.
Hell yes, brother.
I love hearing y'all's answer. And in my head, you guys being the hardcore gamers, I am, on the other hand, like nerding out over what the experts are saying. And I'm like, more experts. Yes. I want more tools. Like, but that's cool. That's like the beautiful balance of our team. I'll say my last one too, a Vent video game that combines some of these like calming mental health things, I think would be super cool. You could play before hopping on, play afterward. We'll see what comes though. We'll see what comes. Thank you guys so much for being on the show tonight. I know we've all been working really hard. It's been a wild ride. It's been late nights. It's been a lot of nights every week. So really appreciate you guys, everything you do behind the scenes. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Appreciate everyone who is behind the scenes right now. Thank you to all the gamers who have come on and opened up to us, whether they were featured in a montage, an intro, or featured actually on the show. And of course, special thanks to Nami. Jimmy, I know you're on right now, but if you want to throw up, there we go. Nami Westside Los Angeles has been an incredible partner throughout all of this. At the end of every show, we show the resources that they have provided to us that you can find on Richie Knows. And this show is no different. Richie Knows and Vent is always there for you. We always want to be a resource for you within the content that we put on, but also to be a bridge to other content, to other resources that might help you along the way. My name is Sophie. This has been Vent Overheards. I hope everyone takes a deep breath tonight, and another, and another. And just remember that mental health is an ongoing journey. And if you are thinking about it and talking about it, you are already doing something right. How's that for an outro, Jimmy?
That's a great closer. So send us off one more time, Sophie, and say goodbye to our audience.
All right. Anthony, James, Jimmy, thank you very much. Good night, guys.
Till next time. See ya.